Y'all, it's your favorite internet cousin. It's your favorite internet cousin. Hey, cousin, cousin. Hey, it's your favorite internet cousin. Um, Yo, what up, y'all? It's your favorite internet cousin. Hey, cousin. So we are here with the first episode of my new podcast, the favorite internet cousin podcast. And I have somebody so special here today. Y'all, I am excited about just the way that this interview is going to go. I already know it's going to go amazing. This story that we're about to talk about is a story that has been trending for the past couple of years. But we have somebody, a creative, who was bold enough and took a risk to talk about this in a creative way. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and then we're going to get started.
Absolutely. First off, thank you so much for having me on. My name is William Anderson, co-director and executive producer of the Surviving Lake Lanier docuseries that's slated to come out in a couple of days, actually, Saturday, August 24th on Amazon Prime. Alongside with doing Surviving Lake Lanier, I've also done a movie called Lanier, which ultimately led to this docuseries with wanting to explore more into the history of Oscarville and just the lake in general.
That's amazing. Um, One thing that I want to ask, because you said that you've done a movie and you've done this docu series. What was
Yeah.
the inspiration behind you wanting to do this? Like, what was that push that said, okay, I need to talk about this story?
Yeah. So the story of like Lake Lanier and Oscarville, it all started honestly like 3 years ago. That's where it all started, where I first discovered like Lake Lanier alongside with the thriving Black community that was once Oscarville. It's when my wife and I we were working with some other creatives, but due to creative differences and because they didn't want to do like a traditional film. They wanted to do more of a found footage film
Okay,
um, for our movie Linear. I was like, that's not.
right.
I can't really see that. Like, and hats off because I feel like someone might be able to pull off that vision. But for us, I was like, I want to just do something traditional, like a normal movie about Lake Lanier and showcase some of the Black history within there. So, and honestly, that was like the inspiration because I was like, why hasn't Hollywood told a story like this?
Come
Like,
on,
it has to be on Hollywood's radar. And I was like, well, you know what? If Hollywood doesn't want to do it, we're going to do it. And, like we may have less resources in Hollywood, but at the end of the day, as long as we got heart, passion, and we
mm,
work hard towards it, we can make it come to fruition. And ultimately, that's what we did.
I love that. You said something so profound, and I wanna like expand on that topic a little bit.
Yeah.
You just said something about creative differences, but also you talked about Hollywood not wanting to tell this story. Um, I actually had a conversation with somebody about how black stories are always kind of like snubbed or kind of like overlooked by the
Yeah.
Hollywood execs. And they have the resources that we need or that we feel like we need to create a great project. Um,
Absolutely.
what was how did you what was the creative process that got you from, okay, since we can't come to an agreement together, let me do it. What was
Ye
that process like for you?
I think it was ultimately when they said, "We don't need a script," and they were
Uh,
like, "We can just write down bullet points
okay.
to do the story," and then that's when I was like, "Nah,
Yeah.
I'm out." Like, me and my wife, we out. We're gonna do it the right way, the traditional way. Again, hats off to anybody
Right.
that can just write down bullet points in Word or whatever and say, "Oh, we got our movie and we can
Yeah.
shoot it." But for me, with looking up to creatives such as like, Jordan Peele, the
Mm,
Tyler Perrys and stuff
yeah.
like that. I was like, no, I want to sit down, write a script, and then just figure out how to raise money in
Yeah.
order to shoot this movie as my first
Yeah.
featured film. Like I just wanted that. I wanted that really under my belt. And, I just had tunnel vision to really get it done.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what it came down to. And then surviving Lake Lanier. ultimately just came from not being satisfied with not being able to tell the full story of like Oscarville
Right.
and more about Lake Lanier, because for our horror film Lanier, we had a very limited budget. And something I learned from that was like, when you're making a feature film, like I get why they say like $3 million and under is considered like low budget, because the money just burns really fast, and the more ambitious your script is, the more capital intensive it can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I love that. Um, what was something that while you were creating, surviving Lake Lanier, that inspired you or encouraged you to say, I'm doing the right thing. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, so a lady that we have in there, the TikTok that has gone viral
Mm-hmm.
for surviving Lake Lanier is a lady by the name of Chastity Blunt. Phenomenal lady, phenomenal. I call her auntie all the time because
Come on.
she's just so down to earth. She's just like, yo, that's my aunt
Yeah.
reincarnated. That's what I feel like when I look at her. But honestly, I saw her TikTok. Her TikTok had went viral. It was like surviving Lake Lanier, 1997, and I heard the story and I was
Mm,
just blown away. And I was like, oh no, this is a this is a big screen story. This could be wrapped into a doc just called Surviving Lake Lanier. And I was like, like it just makes sense,
yeah.
because what she was saying within that TikTok, it just, from that moment on, I was inspired, and I was like, because I've been inspired about Lake Lanier, obviously,
Right.
but when I heard her story, I was like,
Yeah.
man, I gotta do right by Oscarville. I gotta do what I wanted to do in the form of a featured, but I just couldn't pull it off. So that's why the doc was like, it just made so much sense.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because when I watched that TikTok and there was a phrase that she said when she was like, I don't know why I was, but I was saved that day. My body just went into a whole chill mode because it was like, yo, I've
Yeah.
heard so many stories, like I said, in the past couple of years about people going and disappearing and car crashes and all of that happening. But to see somebody who survived that and is able to tell that story in such an authentic and a raw way, oh man, that was amazing. Um, and even through the screen, she gave me auntie vibe. So I can
Yeah.
only imagine how it felt to have her in that space and being able to like pull from her energy and actually hearing her story. What? How did you guys meet up with her? Like, was there something that like somebody connected you guys, or did you just hear her story from somewhere?
I saw her story just on TikTok, just
Uh huh.
scrolling like everybody else, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "We gotta reach out to her," and I
Yeah.
and I slid in the DM, and I was like, "Auntie, like we have to tell your story. We have to make a film like about your story, or just
Yeah.
like showcase it in some way. We got to bring you back to the lake." And I didn't
Ooh.
know if she thought I was playing. She didn't know who I was, but I was like, when I say something, like I am going to do it
Yeah.
within, if it's in my power, I am going to do it. And ultimately, we almost didn't even pull it off, because originally she was going to get a ride from Florida, because that's where she stays at, to
Uh huh.
Georgia, and her ride fell through. And I just looked at my wife and I was like, yo, we got to go get her.
Yeah.
Like, we have to go get her today. And the funny thing is, we had a road trip all the way to Florida to get Chastity. And in that same day, we just came back to the set to like film her segment for the
Wow.
doc. Because I was like, there's just no way. It's those stories that are just so good. And it's like, well, if God wants it to happen, maybe God is testing me. That's what I felt like, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm about to pass this test, because we're driving to get
Ooh.
her," and that's what we did. And now look at what's happening. That's why I
Look
was
at
like,
it.
we can't give up.
Oh man, that's amazing. I do want to talk about a little bit. Well, I want to talk about the film, but I do want to talk about the story of Lake Lanier because we both, are from or either live in the South, and the South has so many racist undertones and so many a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
history. I'm sorry. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. But the South has so many like racist undertones, and we have so much history with racism and so much history with, the black stories being told, either told the incorrect way or not being told at all. Um, and I want to learn more about the Lake Lanier story. I've been researching it, but I can only imagine because you've been in this space for a long time, with your
Yeah,
creative projects. Can you just talk to us about the story a little bit? I know it will be on Surviving Lake Lanier, but just talk to us about the story a little bit.
absolutely. So, Lake Lanier, the United States Army Corps of Engineers and the U.S. government built Lake Lanier in like 1956.
Mm,
That's when it all came together to make the lake, right? And the lake was made to give power to Georgia and the surrounding cities and states alongside with water, which the documentary also talks about. So that's pretty much what Lake Lanier was made for, because at that time, the only body of water in Georgia was the Chattahoochee River, and the
mm,
Chattahoochee River flooded so much during rainfall. It would often cause floods. So they were like, we need to build another body of water. And that's how Lake Lanier ultimately came about. However, what's the most daunting and dark about it is that you had all this bloodshed that was under the lake, and that's why oftentimes people are like, I feel like, yeah, two things can be true at the same time. Like, number one, yes, maybe Georgia, the cities and the surrounding states needed power and energy,
mm.
but on the second hand, maybe that was an attempt to wash away the history that once happened.
Yeah,
um because obviously, like you said, the South has so much racist history, and
yeah.
it's just one of those things that's always trying to be forgotten. That's why I'm so
Hmm.
passionate about bringing up our history, because, the day is coming where they'll keep tearing this out of our history books. This
Yeah.
stuff needs to be told within some capacity, like always. And plus, people they tend more to be entertained when it's told in a visual medium than you just picking up a history book, or you know what I mean? So yeah, the story of Lake Lanier, like, is so tragic, honestly. Like, you know,
Do you believe that there are spirits or the lingering energy from some of the people, from from some of the black people, still there? And do you believe that's why there are a lot of murders and disappearings happening there?
oh, for sure. I'm
Yeah,
a huge believer. Me personally, I'm a
yeah,
believer in the paranormal. I used
yeah.
to watch, Ghost Hunters, and when I had another YouTube channel, we would literally react to paranormal
Ooh,
investigations. Like, to me, all that stuff is not made up. It's
yeah,
like, it's legit. Like,
yeah,
I feel personally, it's legit. So what would make the lake any different
yeah,
from like a haunted church that was abandoned, destroyed, and or abandoned hospital where people have passed away in there, and
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, and I haven't even talked about the Native Americans as well, because the Native American burial ground is also under the lake. Um,
Oh,
so you kind of got a thriving black community, and then you got the Native Americans, like, and Native Americans, they're very like spiritual.
yeah.
So I mean, there's
Oh,
no way I can be convinced like
ooh,
otherwise. There's it's darker than
yeah,
people just saying like, oh, people just get drunk on the lake, they
yeah.
get intoxicated. I think it's way deeper than that.
Mm, and the chills. I've always been
Yeah.
scared of the paranormal, but I don't know. This story has always like captured me because just the ambiance that it brings when you even when you read it on social media and you read the stories or you see the events happening. It's like, yo, what is happening? How did this happen? I One thing that I do appreciate about creatives like you is the authentic push to want to continue to keep black stories alive. What do you say to people, or what is something that you would say to people who say that they don't want to hear these stories, or they're tired of hearing the black people defeated stories.
Yeah. Well, I would say to those people, well, if we don't tell those stories, then who's going to do it?
Mm,
Then if we don't tell those stories, are you cool with that being forgotten? If we lived in a time in the future when maybe I'm not here, maybe you're not here,
yeah.
Jamaris, where people try to push slavery again. If
Come
they
on.
if they just say like, "Oh no, this is how it's going
Yeah.
to go." Like if we forget where we came from, we're not going to know how to navigate in the
Ooh.
present or in the future. Like it's
Yeah.
it's not going to happen. We're not going to know at all. So that's why, and I understand because I don't like, yes, if you had to tell me like, would you today rather watch like a slave movie or would you rather watch like a horror Jordan Peele black film? I'm gonna choose Jordan Peele. I don't
Yeah.
like you know what I'm saying. I don't really like those type of movies, but I know they're important,
Mhm.
right? Maybe they just need another twist on them to
Yeah.
feel like fresher, but we can't eliminate them completely. I
Right.
think it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, like, yes, if you're going to tell a slave movie, is there a way you can spice it up or make it something fresh other than just like black trauma or that's where that discussion in my opinion needs to be had.
Yeah.
But we got to tell those stories. We just have to
Yeah.
because if we didn't do it, who was going to do it? Like are we
Come
just going to
on.
wait, you
Yeah.
know?
That's important. I do. I ask that because there are a lot of people right now who are kind of like on the hate train of Tyler Perry, and even still on the hate train of
Right.
like the Color Purple movie, because
Right.
of how black trauma is always told in these stories, where people who have that influence or that pull gets to continue to push these stories. And like you said earlier, Tyler Perry is one of my inspirations too, because he knows how to create a project or create a creative space for people to be able to express and experience their trauma. And I believe that movies like this, creative projects like this, it helps heal people. Like, yes, we are kings and queens, and yes, we do have a history of being, noblemen and great people, but we also have a history
Right.
of trauma. And trauma is something that stays within our bodies, it stays within our DNA. And if we don't ever deal with it, we'll always be in this space of having to, like you said, having to continue to revisit old situations again. Were there any challenges inwardly or retrospectively? I know you talked about the car ride and how that happened, but also anything personally that challenged you or made you say, I don't know if we can continue to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was honestly when Chastity's rod fell through, like I was like, "Ooh, maybe this is a sign that we shouldn't continue to do it." And then I
Mm,
just thought about what I've already been through and how we persevered in general to get to where we're at today.
yeah,
And I was like, "Oh no, that's just a test from the man
yeah,
above." So I'm
yeah.
about to surpass it. Anytime
Come on.
I'm in a like, oh, like this fell through. I'm like, oh, okay. God just wants me to go around, but still take a different path to
Yeah,
ultimately reach the
yeah,
destination. That was honestly how I felt about it.
yeah.
And to go to your point too about the whole Tyler Perry thing, I totally agree. I think people are on the hate train, but the thing is, it's like Tyler knows his audience and he's
Come
been
on.
he's been hitting on this audience for 30, 40 years, probably
Yeah,
longer than we've been born. And I mean, it's working at the end of the day. And it's important to even tell the stories that he's telling because people are healed also from his movies. There's people that see themselves on the screen of Tyler Perry. Just because that's not you doesn't mean it doesn't
right.
resonate to anyone else. I think that's something that black people specifically need to understand. Like everybody does not need to be in the lane of like Jordan Peele or John Singleton. Like
Yeah,
there many black directors can still exist, but they're all doing something different for the black community.
yeah,
That is totally okay.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
It's
I believe
sad.
that. And it's important. Like, it's so important to have creators who are black and who are authentically black, and we all have different experiences in this world. As a black man, as a black woman, as black children, like we all have different experiences, and we don't see that uniqueness in every creative project. We're going to always feel like we have to be a one track mind, and well, that's what I want to talk. I want to talk about that for a little bit. The challenges of black creatives as a whole, because
Man,
right now I am seeing so much like talk and conversation on Twitter, on Facebook about black creatives feeling like we are in this space of like nothing is everything is working against us, especially like
yeah,
independent black creators. And one thing that I am really praying that happens in this next year, in this next century, is that we start working together. You know, you have the camera, I may have the script, you may have the mic, I may have, and we can just work together and help each other become who we want to see in this world. What is your perspective on that? How do you feel about the whole black creatives and the challenges that we're facing? What do you think
man,
could happen?
what a great question, first and foremost. Secondly, we have to look at history once again.
Yeah.
When has black people's life ever been easy?
Mm,
Like, I just hate to say it's never
yeah.
been easy.
Yeah.
And now, granted, yes, we're
Yeah.
living in a much better time than what our ancestors had to live within, right?
Yeah.
Like we are truly our greatest, we're our ancestors' wildest dream for
Yeah.
certain.
Oh yeah.
However, with the times that we're in now, especially when it comes to funding, right, as black creatives, it's hard. A lot of people weren't on the black creative train until stuff began popping. And then they were like, oh yeah, we should invest in black stories,
Yeah.
right? But why did it take all that for you to just pull the trigger, right? I'm talking
Yeah.
about like the studio execs and those top people who ultimately greenlight films. It's absolutely crazy because that was always here. I feel like, especially as an independent black creative who puts up his money for most of the projects that I
Come on.
do, it's like at the end of the day, if you don't want to bet on me, I'm always going to bet on
Bet
myself
on
because that's the
myself. Yes.
greatest investment you can ever make. And the thing is, there's going to come a day at the end of the day where you had a shot to invest in me. I've done it consistently, and my films have done well, or they've profited at least, even if it's only by a cent. Then when we go to the table of like a big studio or whatever, I'm going to remember that. And ultimately, that's what Tyler has done a great job with as well. It's like I hold the leverage because since I started my career, you know, I've invested in myself and it's
Yeah.
paid off time and time again. So how are you going to argue like I can't give you X amount of money when I've proven to you I've already put up money,
Yeah.
maybe on a smaller scale, but it worked. So what do you think is going to happen on a bigger scale?
Come on.
Where you give me more resources to tell a story. So I feel like for black creatives, it's adding to our story when it comes to, having to do things in such a grassroots fashion, whether it's raising money through Kickstarter, Indiegogo, etc. As long as we're getting the job done, that's all that matters. That speaks volumes at the end of the day. And then we'll let the big guys catch up when everyone else is already on.
And that's so important. That's so important.
Hmm.
Because I think that a lot of us, we feel like we are in this space where we can't create or we can't be, you know, excellent in our creativity because we have to have somebody backing us or somebody pushing us, especially financially. Um, are there any like encouragement or motivation that you would give to a black creative starting one or one that is in a space where they feel like they are stuck because of this very situation? Is there anything that you would say to them to say, you got this, you can do it?
Absolutely. First thing I'll say to a black creative who wants to make their first featured film or maybe their first, And maybe that feature film is a doc, right?
Yeah.
First thing I would tell them is just bet on yourself. If
Mm.
you're passionate about this story and no one knows the story like you, and you can't go to sleep because you're just thinking about telling this story. You need to chase it because it's in your heart for a reason. And maybe you won't be able to get funding, but that's okay. You have to be smart. You have to budget your money. You have to really think outside the box in order to tell the story because no one's going to hand it to you.
Yeah.
That's just the hard truth of the
Yeah.
matter. Unless you just find someone who will. Sometimes those angels will, come into your path. But for me at least, just speaking on my experience, I had to make the path. I ultimately had to make something that got Angel McCauthrey to invest in me and my team because we invested in ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes, that's the long hard road that I've taken, putting up all my money, going into debt to just tell what I was passionate about it. And I'm not saying a filmmaker has to do that. You can be smarter about it for sure. Just
Yeah.
learning from what I've done. You can start even smaller. Maybe start even smaller and then you can show someone who may be financially blessed that's to say like, "Oh, I see the vision. I got it. I get
Yeah.
it. I know why people will love that. Here's 50K. Go
Go.
tell your story." You know, sometimes that will happen. But if it doesn't happen, then you have to take it among yourself. Like, okay, if I want to tell this featured film, well, maybe it makes more sense and it's cheaper just to tell a doc. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe, you know what I mean? So it's just all about, just being creative with trying to tell the story that you want to tell and being able to be real about the resources you have. I think that's the biggest thing that I can say to like a black creative. Like you just be honest with yourself. Even if you know you can't do the best job, just understand done is better than perfect.
Come. Ooh.
At
Ooh.
the end of the day, done is better than perfect. That's what I always say. Like, like I
Ooh.
get I get caught up too in
That's hard.
trying to be perfect, but I'm like,
Mm.
yo, no one's going to be able to consume it, if I'm
Yeah.
just constantly over it. So
Mm.
maybe it should just be done and maybe to someone else it's perfect. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's the logic I came up with.
I love that. Man, I love that. I want to talk about the surviving Lake Lanier a little bit because
Yeah.
I am so excited. I didn't want to watch it until I had a conversation with you because I wanted to have like a real deep perspective going into it. And I wanted to know the backstory about it because I'm that person. I love to research. I love to talk about it, and I'm definitely going to like tweet about it and Facebook about it when I watch it. Tell us about when it's
Leave
coming
us a
out.
review too if you can.
I am. I'm definitely going to give you a
Appreciate it.
review. Tell us
Thank you.
about the when it's coming out. Tell us any information that you want us to know about it.
Absolutely. So, Surviving Lake Lanier, Volume One, and by the way, it's called Volume One because we do want to do multiple volumes. After this one, we're going to try to take the leap to get in touch with Amazon to maybe make this an Amazon original. That's first and foremost. That's what we're aiming for with this. But even if it does happen, we want to continue it.
Yeah.
But anyway, Volume One really dives into the history of Lake Lanier, from Oscarville, the Native American burial ground, and why the lake was ultimately formed.
Yeah.
Um, and most notably, it features interviews with a lady by the name of Chastity Blunt, who had a near death experience on Lake Lanier. And then it also goes into an interview with a homeowner on the lake who talks about the racist encounters that he's experienced within Forsyth County and how the government has even tried to stop him from trying to rent to Black people. Um, so that's what Volume One really is. So I would say it's like half and half. I would say it's 50% history, and then we got 50% real life like experiences from people who have encountered Lake Lanier or they survived the lake in a different way.
Yeah. When does it? So is it already out?
So we just got word actually that it has been live,
Okay.
but the official release date that we set is for August 24th.
August 24th. So if y'all when y'all read this will be out. So August 24th, y'all better be watching this. All of my internet
Yes.
cousins, y'all better be watching this. I want y'all to give a review because this story has always just it's just always captured me. And I'm so excited that there is somebody who took the risk to talk about it in a more raw and real way. And somebody who didn't leave out details or who didn't try to sweeten it up to make it good for the mass production or the mass consumption. So I appreciate that. I do want to play a couple games. Are you okay with playing a few games?
Absolutely.
Come on.
Let's do it.
So
Let's
the
do
first
it.
game is I'm going to say a word and you have to say a movie or a TV show that has that word in it, and you have 10 seconds to come up with a TV show with that word in it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So
And
that
then
has to be the title within the TV show or
yeah, it has
movie?
to be in the title of the TV show.
Okay.
Okay. The first word is different.
Different. I feel like there's a show called Different World.
Come on. Okay. Okay,
Yep.
that was good. The second show the second word I want to say love.
Oh, Love and Basketball.
Oh, wow, okay. The third show or movie or word. Um let's see. Living.
In Living Color.
Okay. You are saying TV shows that I'm saying that I'm thinking of different ones, but they're good. Um,
Okay.
let's see. We're gonna do one more. We're gonna make it hard. Life.
The Life of Tommy Lee Gray with
Ooh,
Samuel L.
ooh,
Jackson. That's a
ooh,
great show if you haven't seen it. Great show.
ooh.
Great show.
Okay. That was the first game. Now, do you sing? Do you know music?
I do know music, but I ain't no
Okay.
singer. Don't
Okay.
even. I
Well, you
mean,
don't you don't
I
even
don't
have to
want to
sing
hurt the speakers.
it. You don't even have to sing, but I'm gonna do the same game, but it's gonna be with music, and you have to say
Okay.
a song with the word in it. Uh, let's see. Love.
Love. Doesn't Keisha Cole got a song called Love?
Yeah, she sure do.
Okay. I thought so.
Um, peace.
Peace. Oh man. Peace. Dang, I don't know.
Yeah,
Peace.
and the this with this the word does not have to be in the song title. It can be a phrase in the song or a part in the song.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Let's see. Window.
Window. Eminem had a bar with Rihanna. I love the way
Come
they
on.
lie. Looking out the window. I guess that's why they call it window pane. Something like
Oh
that. Something like
yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. That bar
Let's
always
see.
stood out to me.
Um, woman.
Woman. Woman. Be- Sean King, beautiful girl. No, woman. Or I know he's canceled, but just for the sake of the game, Wonder Woman, Trey.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Last one. Water.
Water,
Uh huh.
water, water. Water. Dang. Oh, TLC.
Oh
Rain,
yeah.
waterfalls. Yeah, waterfalls. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh huh.
Hey yeah.
Hey.
I love that. So before we
Yeah.
before we end this podcast, do you have anything that you want to say? Any last words? Any future projects that you have going on? You talk to
Yeah. Absolutely. Y'all, thank y'all so much for listening, first and foremost. Second off, please go get Surviving Lake Lanier Volume 1. The more support we have behind this project, the better, and we'll be able to do other projects bigger and better with your support. It's on Amazon Prime right now as you're watching this. Again, your support is greatly appreciated. this almost didn't come to life. I feel like I say that about every project, but it's so true because of how many hurdles are involved with it. So go stream it, go watch it. Let me know what you think about it. If you loved it, please leave us a great review. And if you didn't, talk to us about it because I want to get better as a filmmaker. As far as future projects goes, we want to continue to tell more volumes and more episodes of Surviving Lake Lanier and also do other narrative stuff as well. We're always working on scripts. So we'll have some other stuff that's in the more narrative world after the Surviving Lake Lanier docuseries.
I'm excited. Thank you so much for even deciding to come on this podcast. I'm
Absolutely.
excited that this will be the first episode of my podcast because
That's
this just
amazing.
this just set the ambiance, the energy of what the podcast is about. It's about like real creativity and real like excellence, and I'm so excited. I'm so happy for y'all. I hope
Thank
we
you.
stay in contact because I do want to collaborate maybe in the future. I'm excited
Absolutely.
about everything that y'all have going on, and I cannot wait to watch Surviving Lake Lanier.
Thank you so much, man. As I
Thank you.
said, you can go get it. By the time this already comes out, I know it's already going to be Saturday. I don't know. What's your
Yeah.
plans on dropping this episode?
So I am planning on dropping the episode, if not Saturday. I want to drop it on Saturday so
Okay,
that we can
cool,
have
cool,
like,
cool.
so that it can be like on the day we can go get it. I want to drop it on Saturday.
Okay, cool, cool. I'll have to like edit some bits with the podcast and all that too
Please.
for the TikTok.
I'm
Um,
so excited and I'm so happy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll work it out for sure, man.
Oh
But
yeah.
thank you so much for going to
Thank
go
you.
watch it, man. Your support means the world.
Thank you. And I appreciate you guys so much.
Absolutely, man. Hit me up anytime.
I will talk to you soon, bro.
All right, talk to you soon, man. All right, bye.
Yo, this is Turk Talks recut, revised, re-edited. This is the favorite internet cousin podcast, and I'm so excited, y'all. This is going to be amazing, and I cannot wait. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be able to just experience black creatives at large doing great things. Make sure that you guys watch Surviving Lake Lanier on Amazon, 8/24, August 24th. It's gonna be amazing. Hey, I'm so excited, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. It's your favorite internet cousin. Hey, cousin. Hey, cousin. See y'all later. Bye.